Hey gang, this is Kara again. Today we are going to learn page 35, the song Liberty. Okay, now we've got some different things we're going to be doing with this. If you go back to page 31, when I taught you the D major scale, we were picking single strings, right? Might be a good time to go back and review that page because we've got a bunch of single strings that we're going to do on this song as well. But sometimes we're going to keep our fingers in exactly the same place while we pick different notes. All right, I'll explain here in a second. We might want to start with a very first example at the top of the page. Let's pick each one of those notes and see what happens to us. 0, 0, 0, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay? So what I had just said above that is try picking these strings without strumming through all of your strings, all right? That's what we did on page 31 when we learned our D major scale. Okay, one more time we're going to do that. This time I'm going to count you off so you can play it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I'm picking those all in an away direction right now. That might change as I need to speed up, okay? Sometimes when you're going fast, especially when you're playing eighth notes, you might find yourself picking away back on 2/8 notes, just like when we do our strum, okay? Experiment with your pick direction and just be mindful about what you're doing. Think about what you're doing and practice it that way consistently if you can. That's the best way to learn. Now we also have pickup notes on this song. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to come in right there, okay, on the 4 beat, okay? All right, let's take this one line at a time because I think we're going to have to break it down and talk about separate things on every line. I'm going to count us off. Let's see what happens to us. 1, 2, 3, 4, and see how I believe in my 2 there. Alright, there's a lot to be learned on that very first line. Let's break it down. Again, we came in on our pickup note on the 4th beat of the measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Okay, now what I'm going to do on that very first measure, I'm going to leave my 2 down the whole time I play that first measure. As a matter of fact, I'm going to leave it down all the way into the second measure because I've got to hit it again. Watch what that's going to look like. Here's my first measure and the first beat of my second measure. I strum all 3 strings. I leave my 2 right where it is. Okay? There's no reason to go. Hear how the music or the note stops ringing when I lift it up? Okay? If you leave it down, you'll get a nice ring through that whole measure. Okay? Now, I don't want to micromanage you on this lesson because you've got a lot of different things to think about. So I don't want you to have to think too hard. But what I would suggest is when you get to the second measure, you've already got your finger down. And I'm going to use my second finger on those 2s because when I get to my second measure, I'm going to drop my first finger on my 3. So it'll sound like this. This is the second measure. Okay? Like that with my index finger. Then I'm going to take those 2 fingers down and go 2, 1, open. Okay, so keep your eyes on my left hand here. 2, open, 2, open. That's one way you could do it. The other way is you could go second measure. Your 2's already there, and then take the same finger down. Alright, 2 completely different ways to play through that second measure. Decide which way works best for you and be consistent. Okay? Now the last measure of line 1, we go to a G chord. And we are going to hold that 1 and that 3 down the entire time. We play all 4 of those little things that we've got to do in that measure. Watch what I mean. So the first thing we do is we strum the whole G chord. And then we pick the middle string 1, and we pick the melody string 3, and the middle string 1. Now, did you see my hand move at all? You did not. Watch again. This is the last measure of the first line. Strum, pick, pick, pick. Because when we go to the second line, we've got to strum that G again. We'll already have it where it needs to be. Okay? All right. See what I mean? Don't move a finger. I said this earlier in one of the other lessons. Don't move a finger until you need either to lift up that string to expose the open string, or you need that finger somewhere else. As long as you keep a finger down, you're going to let that nice ring happen while you've got your finger down. So you don't want to constantly be moving your hand, picking your fingers up and down. Okay? Leave them down if you can. All right, I am going to play the last measure of line 1 and the first measure of line 2, all off of that G chord. Okay? So here we go on the G chord, last measure of line 1 into line 2. Keep an eye on my hands right now. Don't try to play with me. Move my thumb up to 4, back to 3, and then I'm going to go ahead and let my thumb take itself all the way down to the 2, and then I'll probably use my ring finger on my 1. Okay, watch that again. Okay, I never once moved my middle finger off of that 1 on the middle string. It was there the whole time. Okay, the second measure of line 2 is pretty simple. Same thing you did before. Just leave your 2 down. You've already done this work on the first line. Okay, third line, we go to a G. Take my thumb down to the 2. Now, look at what I've got going on here. I've got my first finger and my third finger up in the air. I'm going to drop those down on the A, and I'm going to use my thumb on my middle string too. All right, this is pretty advanced stuff, gang. You are definitely moving up in the world by the time you get around page 33, 34, 35. All right, third line, first measure. We play the G chord. We take our thumb down to the 2. My 2 fingers are poised right above my A chord. I'm going to drop them down and use my thumb on the 2. And then I'm home with a boom, diddy, boom. Okay? Let's play those first 8 measures together nice and slow without the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4, and... You're probably thinking this isn't slow enough. All right, if you need it slower than that, turn your metronome way down and just practice it as slow as you possibly can. Remember the advice I gave you a few lessons ago where I said practice every 2 measures that join each other, okay? So I would practice and do that again, okay? Then I would practice measure 2 and 3 together. Then I would practice measure 3 and 4 together. Break it down. Break it, break it, break it, break it down. It'll do you so much good. Okay? Let's look at the second part, also known as the B part. Whenever you're playing a fiddle tune that has no words, the first section is generally referred to as the A section or the A part, and the second section is usually referred to as the B part. Okay, so let's look at the B part now. This is the last measure of line 3 where you see the repeat signs. All right, we're starting right there on that last measure of line 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's kind of a fun 2 measures to play. Let's do it again. I'm at the bottom of, I'm at the last measure of line 3, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now the next measure coming up, strum your D. And then an A chord, diddy, boom, diddy. So let's back it up a little bit. Let's go back to the beginning of the B section, which is the third measure of the third line down. And we're going to play those 4 measures, the first 4 measures of the B section. Nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here comes our A chord. Boom, diddy, boom, diddy. Okay. Now let's look at line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Line 5, the second to the last line there. Starts off with a D, the same way, the same first two measures that we had at the beginning of the B section. So let's go ahead and start there. This is the 5th line down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm telling you the truth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Open D. Single strings. G. Thumb down to 2. A. Thumb to the middle string 2. And boom, diddy, boom. All right. Let's take that whole B section again from the beginning of the B section. Line 3, the last measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, diddy, boom, diddy. G, thumb to 2, A, thumb middle string 2, and boom, diddy, boom. Okay? Now when you're practicing these chords, I only see 2 spots where we have 2 chords in one measure. That's the G to the A. Okay? So let's play our boom ditties on this song real quick. All right. Now remember, you've got repeat signs. We haven't talked about those yet. You've got repeat signs between each section, so we've got to do each section twice. Here we go. Remember, the pickup notes are going to come in before your strum. So whoever's playing the lead part will go, and then you come in on your strums on the first beat of the first 4, full measure. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. G and A and D. Get ready to repeat. Back to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. G to A to D. Here's our B section. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. D, 2. Here we go on the chord switch. G, A, D. Now we got to repeat that section. Here we go. D, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4 to A, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. G, A, and D. All right. I'm going to set my metronome up a little bit higher and play this song for you at a little faster pace. Here we go. Here's the tablature. 1, 2, 3, 4, and... Get ready to repeat. Rest. Now you are getting to the point where you're playing more advanced stuff. You're going to really have to listen to my advice. Remember what I said. Take this song as slowly as you need to take it and practice every two measures that match up with each other. In other words, practice measure 1 and 2, and then practice measures 2 and 3 over and over again, 3 and 4, all that as slowly as you need to play. I guarantee it, if you dissect this stuff and break it up like that and play it slowly, and then take the whole piece and start it really, really slowly, and every time you play it perfectly, at that slower speed, you knock it up a couple of notches and try it again. You keep slowly working your way around your metronome. I guarantee you, you're going to have some fun with this song and it's going to sound great in a few hours, okay? Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Please be patient with yourself, and I'll see you next week when we do page 36, also known as Love Me Tender. Okay, so we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.